All right, Mr. Ahmed here for starting up Unit 2. Unit 2 will involve using reasoning and proofs. This first video entails quite a bit of writing, so it may get a little bit long, but if you are writing and need to press pause, press fast forward a little bit, try and use that, but we'll try and keep it under that 15-minute range. So, starting things off, first thing we need to do is define a conditional statement. A conditional statement has two parts. It has a hypothesis, which I'm going to highlight in yellow, and it also has a conclusion, which I'll highlight in green. Okay, so when we write these, we are going to use symbols and words, all right? And typically the two letters that will be involved are P and Q. And when we use our symbols and our words, our P will typically be the start of the hypothesis, and Q will be the conclusion. So we'll say if P, then Q. Symbolically, that's written as P. Then there's a set of arrows to Q to really just mean if P, then Q. So it's just shorter to write that arrow than actually use the words if P, then Q. All right? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to just take a quick look here and just state that P was the hypothesis, which I'll abbreviate HYP, and Q is the conclusion. All right. First example talks about identifying the hypothesis and the conclusion in a statement. The hypothesis is whatever comes after the word if. So in this case, it says if you do the dishes. So you do the dishes is the hypothesis. All right. And Q, the conclusion, is whatever comes after then. You can go to the movies comes after then, so this is our conclusion, highlighted in green, all right? Our next example asks us to underline the hypothesis and circle the conclusion. The reason why we're using underline and circle is you might not have the highlighter. So it says, if you are the greatest basketball player in the world, then your name is Michael Jordan. So the hypothesis we are supposed to underline, so whatever comes after if is our hypothesis. So our hypothesis is you are the greatest basketball player in the world. Circling the conclusion, whatever comes after then. So after then comes your name is Michael Jordan. So our conclusion for our question is Michael Jordan. He is the greatest basketball player in the world. So not all statements are going to be written in if-then form. So when we write a conditional statement, it always needs to be in if-then form. So we have to identify what the hypothesis is in the statement and put if there, and then in front of the conclusion. So this is an example of one that's not written in if-then form. It says you can only go to the mall if you finish your homework. So notice the order kind of switched. If came towards the end. This is our hypothesis. The hypothesis is if you finish your homework, comma, our conclusion comes after then. Then you can go to the mall. So we put it into if-then form. Just make sure you identify what the hypothesis is and put that first with the if. We're going to rewrite another statement in if-then form, and it says all triangles have three sides. So I guess our hypothesis would be that all triangles, so if the shape is a triangle, you can add a few words to make the sentence flow, or you could just say if it's a triangle. I'm not too particular there. I'm going to say if the shape is a triangle, then it has three sides. Go ahead and hit pause and try the next one on your own. All right, hopefully you had success going over our example here. I see if is towards the end. So if it's even, that is our hypothesis. So I would say if it's even. What's it's in this case? It's is a number. So I want it to flow in a sentence. So I'm going to say if a number is even, then it is divisible by 2. Okay? So that would be our last example here for writing the conditional statement. If you would have put something like if it's even, then the number is divisible by 2, that would also be correct. I just want to know what it is right at the beginning rather than waiting till the end of the sentence to understand what it is. All right, moving onward. Negation. The negation of a statement is the opposite. All right, so when we're making a negation, all you need to do is add not or remove not. Okay? The words, we'd say not P. And the symbols, you can't see this very well, so it's like a little squiggly, not P. Okay? So it's a little squiggly mark in front. So to write the negation of a statement, the opposite of the ball is red. You should not say the ball is blue, all right? Because that's not the opposite. We just need to add the word not. So we will say the ball is not red. And that's all we have to do. The next one says the cat is not black. So this one has the word not, so I will remove not. And the opposite would be the cat is black. All right, so don't overthink these. Add not or get rid of not when you have to negate. Do not try and state that the opposite of something is something else. Just add the word not or get rid of the word not. And that is how we write a negation. So quite a bit of information. In summary, we've already gone over how to write a conditional statement. Conditional statements come in if-then form. All right. Negations, we add the word not or get rid of the word not. The next step is to work on some related conditional statements. So we're going to practice this quite a bit. The easiest way to memorize this is by using these symbols. All right. So the conditional statement comes in the form if P, then Q. All right, symbolically, we'd have the arrow, P, then Q. So I have the hypothesis in P and Q. The first statement we're going to write is called the converse. To write the converse, we flip the order. We exchange the hypothesis in the conclusion. So we would put the Q first and then the P second. Q first, the P second. So notice the order changed. Here we had P then Q, here we have Q then P. Now in this process, you don't change the words if. All right, we're going to have a good example of that coming forward, but we're just taking that conclusion or the hypothesis and then changing it. We don't move the words if then then. The statement's still going to be an if then. All right, inverse. Let's write the inverse of a statement. All right, we don't flip the order. We just negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So the negation symbol's the squiggly sign. Notice that's here. So our order is still the same. Our green one's still last, but we have to negate it. Our P is still first, but we have to negate it. All right, so negate both. All right, and lastly, the contrapositive. To write the contrapositive, we have to flip and negate. Flip and negate. So first, that's saying write the converse. The converse is by flipping. Then we're going to negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So our P is still going to be at the back because it had to be flipped. The Q is in the front, and we negate them both. So, summary, shortened way for me to remember these. To write the converse, I flip. Okay? To write the inverse, I negate both. To write the contrapositive, I flip and negate both. All right, so that's kind of how I remember it. A conditional statement and its contrapositive are either both true or false. Okay, so the original statement and the contrapositive are either both true or both false. And similarly, the converse and the inverse are either both true or both false. In general, when two statements are both true or both false, they produce equivalent statements. So they have the same truth value. The truth value states whether a statement is true or false. All right? So, in summary, R. This is a little bit of shortened little chart. This might be helpful for you. The conditional statement. Conditional statement comes in the form P, then Q. The converse comes in the form Q, then P. We flipped. The inverse comes in the form not P, then not Q. We negate both. Okay, so I didn't do a very good job of having my chart on the camera there. I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. The conditional statement comes in the form P, then Q. Converse, Q, then P. Flip it. Inverse, not P, not Q. Negate both. Now this is coming from the original statement. And lastly, the contrapositive comes in the form not Q, then not P. We flip and negate. Okay, flip and negate. Now, these two statements are both true or false. And these two statements here, the converse and the inverse, are both true or false. So they go together. Converse, inverse have the same truth value, and in a similar manner, the conditional statement, the original, and the contrapositive both have the same truth value. All right? So